Hello, welcome back to BLENDERSUSHI live noding. In this episode, we're gonna continue from the previous live noding. We're gonna do like an ASCII art. So instead of using animation nodes, I will be using Sverchok. And this is the method that's very similar to the previous live noding. So this is probably not the most efficient, but this is the simplest to understand. So let's get started. So we have nothing on the scene. I'm gonna delete everything. And I'm gonna start and switch to Sverchok node 3. And in Sverchok, we don't actually have some kind of object instancer. We do have like instancer nodes, but that's actually a different thing. If you want to like use some numbers and kind of generate a lot of text objects in the scene, all we need to do is actually just need to provide the matrix for it. So things like typography viewer actually have this matrix input. So if you just plug in any input here, it will like generate a text object instance right away. So that's actually very convenient. So I'm gonna save this real quick. This is Sverchok ASCII Art Basic 001. What I mean is, if we provide like a text, let's say using the node, let's type in something here, something, and that something can go into this guy, and we get text objects that say something. If we have we provide like a random vector and simply plug this into the matrix and make a bunch of them, we should generally get a bunch of text object. Although it doesn't seem to be doing it at the moment, which is pretty interesting. Maybe I need to join it, or I need to repeat this text a couple of times. Let me have a think. I might need to do like a repeat 5 times, and then yeah, there you go. That's a little bit. That's the interesting thing about Sverchok is you need to understand the type of array and the type of list that you have. So in order to do this, apparently you need to have at least a repeater. So that's one thing about if you want to use the text input, plug into the text. But for the ASCII art, we can actually use something like random number generator. Now this guy is a little bit different. Let's say if we plug this guy into the text, and if we provide like a generate 35 text, this guy is, so here we don't need to do the list repeater because if you look at the actual data coming out from this guy, is actually it's already a type of array. But with this guy, if we look at the original text object, it's actually only a single object. So you indeed for like a text object like this, you need to provide a list repeater. So you need to provide like a generator for that. But for random number, we can simply plug that in. Just provide the total number that's the same as the total number of this matrix transformations. So instead of a random vector, it's always nicer to have some kind of grid. So I always use plain for that. And if we are doing it like this, maybe like provide 10 by 10 points, and here should be 100. This is what we get. So it's pretty simple, pretty basics. And for the actual random number generator itself, it's always nice to have something between 0 and 10, but not including the 10 itself. So we can have 0 to 9, 0 to 9. So that's always kind of nice. 0 to 1 is also kind of nice. That's, you see, with Sverchok, it's how many nodes do you need to generate this? Only just a few nodes, and you can randomize it. This is very fast, very interesting. Since we are using plane, we need to always count for the total number of the points from this plane. So we need to use list length and get the total number of points here. And let's check this out very quickly. So we have 100. Plug this into this guy, and now we have a complete system to generate this 0 and 1. So this is in itself, this is an ASCII art, but we are using numeric here, using numbers only. We can have 0 to 9. Even with a numeric, we can get quite interesting ASCII kind of art actually. You see we have 600 now, and Blender can still handle this pretty easily, still pretty interactive. So I always keep that in mind. If Blender start to slow down, maybe we need to rethink how to design this. Like I said, having like hundreds or thousands of text objects is not very efficient. So you cannot just combine the text objects and kind of piping multiple array of data. You need to think of it differently. So keep that in mind. But now with this setup, I'll reduce it to 20 by 20. So we have 400 text objects. With this setup, we can actually do something that's a little bit more interesting than just a random number. We can use our array, for example. Let's say use the vector noise, for example, and the vertices can come from this guy, and the output can be a scalar. And with this number, if we round it or floor it, let's do this real quick. Just floor this number and plug that in. We should get we can get something that's interesting. Instead of 0, 0, 0, of course you want the value. So let's use a map range and kind of play with this number here. So between -1 and 1, give a value between 0 and 10. The noise value is actually between 0 and 1 maybe. So now we start to get some kind of a number here. We don't see a pattern yet. Maybe I need to reduce the noise here. Oh, actually I'm reducing the actual points. I'm gonna do it differently. I will use vector math in here and scalar, multiply by scalar, and I'm trying to generate like a noise that's starting to give us a pattern. Let me do this real quick. 0.7, perhaps 0.8, and oh, by the way, with the text you can change the font from here. So this is the font. We can get another type of font. I think I have a PT mono. This is probably a better looking text objects. Still looking the same. Oh well, that doesn't matter. You can see from far away it's starting to have some kind of noise texture there. Let's try 64 by 64. So we have like over 3,600 text object. Again, this is not the most efficient. Thousands of text objects will slow down Blender. And I'm still looking for a way to generate this the fastest way possible. I'm pretty sure this is actually possible. Maybe we need to use particles or instancing objects in order to have like a faster interactive result, or even maybe the whole thing can be just a single node. I don't know yet. I don't know. I think processing 10,000 array of values should be fast enough. I don't know yet if what I'm talking is actually correct. I'm hoping I can reach like 1,000 by 1,000 pixels and still I get some kind of interactivity. What I found is even 64 by 64 starting to slow down Blender when we are using Sverchok Add-On or Animation Nodes Add-On. even though the setup itself is pretty simple, but the calculations that it needs to do every single frame, every single baking is kind of a bit slow. If it's getting too slow, then I don't find it to be interesting too much. Maybe at some point I need to look into Blender game engine or another methods to do this. So 64 by 64 is probably taking quite a while. But anyway, you already know what this is doing. You learn new techniques. So in Sverchok, it's a little bit more streamlined. You just pipe in a lot of data, generate data on the fly, plug everything into the matrix transformations, and it will generate the text objects for you like immediately. So yeah, that's pretty basic. It's still calculating, but anyway, that's pretty much it for this live noding. Thanks again for tuning in. If you have any question, feedbacks, let me know in the comment section below. I'll see you in the next video.